This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the Daily FX Forum.
So here are the pairs I will be discussing this evening: the Euro Pound, the Aussie Kiwi, the Pound Swiss, and the Euro Swiss, as well as the Euro Aussie. So let's go ahead and pull up the charts. The first chart is the Euro Pound. If you recall, during the past several reports, I've been mentioning this 88.40 area as potential support, and also this low here of 88.50. I also mentioned that I didn't see any favorable setups, and while I did have a bullish bias against this line, I did not issue any pertinent trade setups here. So moving forward now, I actually like the opposite side of this previous support line to act as resistance moving forward. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So if we do get prices coming up there within the next 24 to 48 hours, let me get an exact price point right now, about the 89.60 area. I might look to enter on the short side. So during the next 24 hours at least, I would have a short order in at 89.60 with a stop, let's call it at 89.90. Again, that's short 89.60 with a stop at 89.90. The next chart is the Aussie Kiwi, and hopefully you were able to get in this trade. Again, that was an entry at 24.60, initially with a stop at 23.90. I moved up the stop during yesterday's report to 24.10, and actually as I speak now, I want to move that stop up one more time. I don't want prices to come down to this line right here, about the 24.44 area. At that point, I've become a lot less bullish than I am right now. So if you're in this trade from 24.60, I would go ahead and move that stop up another 20 pips to 24.30. So you should be long right now from 24.60 with a stop at 24.30. And again, looking at this chart, what I'm looking for is prices to carve out some sort of symmetric pattern here, probably a head and shoulder, which would mean a rally up to that 26.72 area. So right now, I might put in a limit order, tentative limit order, around the 26, let's call it 26.40 area, which is just beneath these lows right here. So again, put in a limit at 26.40. The next chart is the Pound Swiss, and not much has changed here. Again, this is just the inverse of the Euro Pound, and I would prefer the cleanliness, if you will, of the Euro Pound compared to the Pound Swiss, as it is a little more volatile, so you're more likely to get spikes through clear support and resistance lines. The next chart is the Euro Swiss, and if you recall, during the past, actually 2 reports back, I mentioned the short trade at 49.90. And this is actually the 5-minute chart. So you entered at 49.90, and then prices did come down and broke that 149 figure. But I did mention during yesterday's report that I didn't update anything. So right now, moving forward, if you're short the pair from 49.90 with a stop at 150.40, because it's a holiday week, I might go ahead and tighten the risk a little bit and move the stop down to the figure just above the figure. Call it 150.10. So you should be short right now from 149.90. with a stop at 150.10, and the limit order right now, as I mentioned during yesterday's report, this low right here, call it 49.10. So put in a limit at 149.10. The next chart is the Euro Aussie. And if you recall, during yesterday's report, I mentioned a trade setup for aggressive traders, entry at 62.75 with a stop at 62.25. Prices actually came down to 62.20, so if you entered that trade, you were stopped out. And I'm just going to be on the sidelines here, and this is part of trading. Again, like I was looking for that double bottom. I missed it by 20 pips. I was expecting prices to come down, hit the 61.8, which they did here. And, you know, I've been right on this pair in terms of direction, but I've not made any money, and I've actually lost 50 pips. But you know, that's part of trading. Half of it is figuring out what's going to happen or what you think is going to happen, and then the whole other part of it is trying to make money with that knowledge. But again, this is just part of trading, so we just move on. And in my case, I'm just going to stay on the sidelines until I see favorable risk-to-reward setups. Again, my name is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening, and please stay tuned for a preview of the Daily FX Forums. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the Daily FX Forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com. And usually there on the upper right-hand corner, I'll go ahead and click on where it says Forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something, you know, catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to, shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see, and that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. Obviously, my username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails in terms if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.